And we are live right on time. Well, maybe a couple seconds late, but it's not a big deal. Don't have a whole lot of people joining tonight, at least not yet. There might be some people showing up later. We will see. A lot of people are playing MechWarrior 5 right now with the new expansion, and it's understandable. So there is that. But we're still wanting to talk about the upcoming rule changes. So there's a few things that I might be still having to discuss about it. And I'm looking for things to print and things to get ready to review. I might have to look into other things here. Rakshasa, I already did a video on it, so no point in redoing it. Oroshi's another cool one in that list here, but there's very few variants of it. Same with the Tsunami. Those are all, I don't know, the Tsunami's a Solaris mech. The Oroshi's a really good mech, but there's just not that many variants of it. The Defiance is a weird one in general. I mean, it's a big boy mech, and it doesn't perform quite as well as you'd expect. That's probably the problem with it. So we had a comment before the video start here. If they're really worried about small autocannon usability, why do the AC5 and AC2 need minimum ranges? That is a very good question, honestly. And I am not quite sure what the answer would be for that. Because I'm not sure why a regular, ballistic weapon would have a minimum range to begin with, unless you're lobbing the shells like regular artillery. But that's not what the autocannons are meant to be. They're meant to be like regular cannons, basically. So I'm not 100% sure why it would be they would need one. Would it improve their usability? Probably. I mean, not a huge improvement. The minimum range on these weapons are not immense. I mean, they can be a problem, but they're generally not that bad from what I remember. And the clan ones don't have one, or very minimal one. Oh, the hypervelocity AC5. This one probably has a longer one. Yeah, it has no minimum range on the hypervelocity AC5, however. Okay. HVACs are weird, and I haven't really seen a whole lot of people ever use those to begin with. Regular autocannon 5. What was the minimum on it? 3? 4? Minimum range of 3. So half of your short range. It's not terrible. It's the same thing pretty much with the the AC2. It's not that bad. But I mean, removing the minimum range on these weapons would probably not be a huge problem. I don't think it would break the game, as they say, if they were to remove the minimum range off the autocannons. Removing the minimum range off the PPC, which is the same, basically, maybe would be a little bit more problematic, just because it does allow you to have a little bit more leeway when you're fighting big PPC boats, like the Warhammer, like the Marauder, like the Awesome.
You got the snub nose PPC already.
Well, the snub nose does replace it here, but I was more looking at the basic tech here, during the Succession War. I mean, removing the minimum range off of the PPCs. I mean, if you wanted to balance out the autocannons and the PPC a little bit, yeah, you could take out the minimum range on the autocannon 5. Even on the AC2, and I don't think anybody would really panic or really, make a huge scene out of it. I mean, they're not... I don't think it would change the game all that much if you did that, but it's not in the in their document, for gear change here. It's not part of what they were talking about. It's someone that brought it up, the Wolf, and yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be a bad thing to remove it. I mean, it's like I understand why there is minimum range on LRMs. The clan ones don't have one, and that makes them incredibly better. And then you have the enhanced LRMs that are meant to kind of bridge the gap a little bit, but they're entirely unusable because they are way too heavy. It is like for having your minimum range to 3, it's an extra ton on an LRM5, and that starts adding up really quickly. And it's only you don't get any fancier bonus on them, but you are able to load them with specialty rounds already. So they're not terrible. Well, no, they're rather terrible as a weapon. But I mean, there's very few mechs that have enhanced LRMs to begin with. I mean, that's a weapon that's in the book, but I don't think anybody really knows a whole lot about. So that's a thing that they could probably work their way around if they wanted to do more rework the enhanced LRMs a little bit. Probably would be a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you need a minimum range on the autocannons. I mean, I know people think AC2s and AC5s are really good if they only play the video games, because in MechWarrior Online and MechWarrior 5, AC2s and AC5s are really, really good. Tabletop, they are not as good. Let's just go with that. On the tabletop, autocannons under the 10 is generally not fantastic. The AC5 is a very odd weapon, and it fits well on a tank, but on a mech, you'd rather go with a PPC if you're playing, retro tech and things like that. The PPC doesn't have head cap potential. It only deals 10 damage. I mean, yes, you go through the armor and you might potentially do a crit, but even there, it's not. I mean, it's still a 1 in 36 chance when you hit with it, and you have to hit, and it was one of the best weapons in the original Battletech book. Honestly, I think it was the best weapon because there were no AC-10, no AC-20s in the first Battletech book. The only autocannon was the AC-5, which was just called autocannon back then. So there's a whole lot of things to talk about in terms of variety and diversity of what happened after the original stuff as well. But I mean, there's still stuff in the gear that you can look at and be like, yeah, there's still stuff that you could enhance. I mean, last week we went through all the things that they recommended, and most of them, I would say we were in agreement that they were really good, or maybe they could even have made them even better. But there's still a few things, like the enhanced LRM. I mean, if the enhanced LRM had no minimum range, yeah, maybe that'd be a little bit more reasonable.
Explosion cap was. I don't like that rule.
Sorry?
From when we were talking last week, the ammo explosion cap.
Yeah, well, we're going to go through that again, the ammo explosion cap, because that is a thing that exists as well.
It should have made it optional rule rather than.
Well, we will see about what they really do with it. I mean, another weapon that would probably benefit from upgrades would be the HVACs, the high velocity autocannons. It's a very odd type of weapon. It's basically an extended range autocannon with no minimum range. It generates a whole lot more heat and 4 tons extra. That's where the cost really comes. For an HVAC 5, it's 12 tons.
It also goes a lot further with the range brackets.
It does shoot an extra 10. But Oh, it actually shoots further than the light Gauss rifle. And it's a little bit smaller. It's 1 crit slot smaller, same weight. You deal less damage, more eat, and you don't have a minimum range, while the light Gauss has a minimum range. So the HVAC 5, I mean, I don't want them to change those stats themselves, because if they start changing numbers for like weight and ton and critical slots, they have to start changing record sheets, and that's a problem. But they could probably make it better in some way. I'm not sure how. You get 15 tons per shot, while the light Gauss gets 16 tons per shot for an extra ton. And the light Gauss explodes, while the HVAC 5, the ammo explodes. And can't use specialty ammunition. Well, because they've got specialty ammunition to begin with, basically. So the rounds are different. The HVACs are kind of weird. The HVAC 10 is really heavy. 14 tons, basically a regular Gauss rifle, regular inner sphere Gauss. Oh, there's Armor. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, Armor?
See how long we have.
So the HVAC 10, if we compare it to a Gauss, the HVAC 10 is lighter at 14 tons, takes 6 crits, which is still less than the Gauss rifle as well. You get 8 tons per shot, some same amount of tons per shot, and you've got a little bit less range than the Gauss rifle. Generates 7 eat, so way more than the Gauss rifle for 10 damage per shot. So the HVAC 10 is, honestly, take that ton and put a Gauss rifle in. But I mean, like I said, if they start changing the actual numbers here, they have to start redoing record sheet, which is not always the best thing. But they could probably buff the HVACs in some way or some manner to make them more usable, as an example.
Yeah, a big problem would be trying to either increasing the number of crit slots or changing the tonnage around would cause further problems.
Yeah, they can't really do that unless they. But I mean, we say that
everything all over again.
How many mechs have an HVAC 10?
Those are the tanks.
I think the only tank they talk about here is the Poe, Mark. A version of the Poe has it. I think the HVACs explode if you roll a 2 as well.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
The Gauss explode.
So, I mean, they could remove that. I don't think it would be. I don't think if they remove the explosion chance on the HVACs, it would, make them the weapon everybody wants to use. As an example.
Available in the same era that Gauss rifles start to come back.
Yeah, that's another problem with it, because it is available starting 3059 as experimental. So it's not like, I mean, if it was available during the Succession War, yeah, that'd be a very different game. It'd be a game changer then. It'd be something that you'd be looking around in Succession War era stuff, but it isn't.
So HVAC 10. We're looking at 4 mechs.
Custom variants or regular variants?
Mostly custom variants. Atlas, Jern, Muller, custom variant. Ninjable, so that's a Solaris? Yeah, that's a Solaris thing. The only one thing that might become is the Victor CR. What else is that?
Mangonel. Yeah, that's an odd one. The base model has 2 light Gauss and 4 ER medium. That's a cool one. I think Night Lancer. I discovered Night Lancer on his video on the Mangonel. Actually, it's a really odd duck. It's in one of those odd duck mech.
Oh, the Tokugawa, that's a custom variant. So that's not.
There's a experimental Poe with it. So I mean, upgrading the HVAC so they don't blow up. I mean, they could add that to that rule change section, and I don't think we'd be mad at it. The enhanced LRMs just take out the minimum range altogether, and I don't think anybody would be really mad at that either. Would it lead more people to putting them on mech? Maybe, but I don't think it would be a huge change in general. I can't think of really any other things that, pop up in my brain that I would change or want to change in terms of gear.
A binary and lasers.
Well, they're making blazers a huge thing in Gothic, so maybe the rules will change over time with that. They apparently have a setting in Gothic with the blazers that can kill abominations easy with
And
them.
before they start having Gothic rules implemented to be official rules.
I mean, I have no idea where Gothic's gonna go. Anyways, they said that they're doing a shrapnel Gothic. Fine, have fun with your Gothic stuff. I'm not sure a whole lot of people are going to be buying it to begin with. I mean, I'm sure the box will sell fine. The Gothic box will sell fine because of FOMO people and stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to be a thing that's going to change everybody's mind on Battletech, let's say. But yeah, lasers are balanced because they're supposed to not be all that good to begin with. But I mean, you'd be able to use them in a Succession War era. So it'd be a head capper in Succession War, which is not common, let's say.
Another thing with the hyper laser, it's an integer heavy laser.
Yeah.
And it's made by New Avalon, so
All right. I mean, HVAC, negate 1 point of movement penalty. I mean, maybe. There's different things that they could probably do with it. I'd have to sit down and, try to crunch the numbers off the HVACs. I mean, there's not that many other piece of gear, like I said, that I can really think that we need to do any major changes on. I mean, they already fixed the shitty armors or elked the shitty armors. AMS still needs to be better than it is. I mean, all of the stuff we saw last week here, the biggest takeaway was ultra autocannons will actually be useful. Rotary autocannon will be even better. I mean, most of it is good to very good. And it's no changes to numbers or digits or anything outside of the bombast laser that they add to re-roll the entire stats for. Nothing else was really changed heavily. So I'd have to go through other bits of equipment that are more obscure, and the more obscure a piece of equipment is, the less likely you really need to change it because nobody really uses it. Something along those lines. Hey, there's Night Lancer. Hello, Night Lancer. How you doing?
Hello. Better late than never, maybe.
True. Was mostly because there's not going to be a whole lot of people on tonight to begin with in the chat. Hey, we were randomly talking about the mangonel, so you should be happy. That's the video I learned about you on. It's an odd duck mech. It is not bad. But twin light Gauss is always a weird thing.
It was the first version was a stopgap. Of course, the video covers this, but the other two versions, the Whiskey and the Sierra, they're best used in conjunction with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I see a pair of clan grade Gauss rifle. Well, that solves a lot of the problems. Go from meh equipment to that actually can hurt level of equipment. So, as I was saying, I don't think on the gear side everything that they're proposing is generally good. So that's a big plus and a big thumbs up for the people at CGL. For the other more regular rules, I'm less sure. Some people are saying very good things. Some people are saying very bad things. Some people are saying, meh, it's a change. So that's where things start being a little bit odd. What I find odd is that they were talking a lot during the gear change section about reducing the number of lines of text, and they add a whole lot of lines of texts in these particular rules. I'm not sure if those are been announced anywhere else. This document's been the one that's been floating around the longest. It's the one that basically got people talking about, hey, they're thinking of making rule changes. And this one here, we've seen some of the things actually repeated on the CGL website and the CGL podcasts. So, but we haven't seen everything from there. So I'm not sure what is what, and I personally don't care. It's good to have a discussion on them and maybe see where this is going to go. First thing, optional core rule initiative dice. I like the fact that they say optional core rule, but this is basically initiative compensation, initiative streak compensation. Every turn you lose the initiative, you get a +1 to your roll the next turn. So it's not a big change. A lot of people already play that in Mega Mech that I know of. I know it's in my core bunch of rules that I use. So it's not an odd thing, but I don't like that they're going on and on and on. That's like a full paragraph and a line here to try to explain how it works. Just for every turn you lost the initiative, add a 1. You don't need to have set a dice aside and put a 1, etc. This is just like fluff to fluff things, in my opinion. But the idea itself, I think, works. Because I know I've been using it to begin with. What do you guys think?
It as long as it, it's between consenting adults. It depends. If there's one person whose dice have a tendency to be really hot, which we all know those guys, yeah, I could see it playing out.
I mean, I don't see a huge issue with it, and they do say it's optional core rule. That's the kind of thing I wouldn't have in like tournaments, even though a lot of people will want that in a tournament because its initiative is supposed to be a little bit swingy. But another problem is if you start adding up the quirks to that, because you'll have, especially in tournaments, once again, the people who bring a command mech, a mech with improved comms, a mech with improved sensors. They're going to bring everything that they can to have as many big bonuses as they can to those rolls. This is just going to be like a cherry on top of it. I mean, yeah, not too bad. We do stuff like that as a house rule. I mean, this was in Mega Mech already, so I don't think this one is bad. It's just you don't need to have a block of text that big about it. It's not don't make it more complex when it can be, simple. Note to self, make sure the core initiative rules have a note stating that any bonuses allow you to have a roll exceeding 12. Because technically, I don't know if a lot of people play it that way, but technically the maximum you can roll on initiative is 12. So even if you have all those bonuses with a command console and all that stuff, you should never be able to roll more than a 12. Now this would allow you to roll more than a 12. Would that be a huge change? That could be a huge change for people who use all the advanced tech and the quirks and the everythings together. Here, replace the unequal number of units section with following. Count up to the number of units currently in play on each side. If one side has more units than the other, their first selection that phase is modified as follow. The side must assign a selection to a number of units equal to the number of... It is complicated, once again. But I think... after the special selection is made, revert to the standard initiative order. This is, once again, like a word salad to try to explain something that is technically not complicated, but this one will eliminate the unequal number of units table and various cheese tactics surrounding bringing a horde of cheap unit as initiative sinks. This doesn't fix that problem, because even if you have to move more units, earlier on, you're still going to have those initiative sinks. You're still going to have more things on the table, and having a bonus of initiative should let you move more units near the end of the chart than at the start of the chart, which is what they want to do now. So if you win initiative here, move 1 unit, then player 1 has to move 7 units. Then it goes back to 1 2 2 1 1 0 0. So even if you win the initiative, you still have to move like the majority of your unit early on. I don't think that works. At least not in my mind. That's still, in my mind, that means that you still lose the initiative.
Well, I mean, you do lose the initiative in that if you lose the initiative, you're the last person or you still have to make the move before the last person moves. But at the same time, if you're moving all of the extra units at the front, then the guy with fewer units can then position himself more favorably throughout the phase.
Yeah. So it defeats the purpose of winning the initiative, at least in my opinion.
Well, I mean, there's volume. You've got the guy who has the advantage of volume, but that kind of offsets it, because if you're dealing with hands down, if you're playing clan and you're dealing like a star clan versus 2 lances of inner sphere, the inner sphere has the advantage because each of those mechs has about the same amount of armor.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of offsets a little bit of that advantage, and I think it's just a minuscule step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Major is saying something better here. I group my infantry as 1 initiative token. That would be a better move, in my opinion. All battle armors, all infantry being its own token rather than fit in during the phase. I know in Mega Mech, there's the optional rule for the infantry and all that stuff to always move last. So everybody moves all their mechs, their vehicles, and then the infantry takes the field. Well, yeah, you move all the infantry following the same initiative rules. I personally don't like it here because, like I said, it feels like those you still won the initiative. Those 7 units, no, you shouldn't be moving them at the end, but they should be spread out throughout the turn rather than all bundled up at the start.
Still, it'd be interesting to play test.
It'd be an interesting thing to play test, that's for sure. But I feel that you lose that element of I won the initiative, so I have the strategic advantage. Here, the strategic advantage, you still have it, but it's much less than it was before. Those 2 rules put together makes me feel that some guys at CGL really hates losing initiative rolls. That's basically it. I don't like losing initiative. I should be as balanced as the other guy. It's a little bit odd. I mean, there's other ways of going through this here, and like Major was saying here, put the infantry on a single initiative token. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Having vehicles and some other units move as a unit rather than move as an individual. Mechs remaining the same, especially if you use the battlefield support cards. You could start doing things like that. So I'm not sold on this one at all. But it's a thing that, I mean, if people play test, I mean, it'll be a thing, and I'm more than certain that people will always go back to the original if they don't like it. So this is going to be a problem rule in itself, because you'll never know what you're going to play when you go into a new, let's say, a new venue. You walk in and people play with the old rules rather than the new rules and things like that. That could be a problem as well.
That's a good point.
So this year, if the rule, everybody liked it and everybody was in agreement on it, maybe it would be a good thing. And I don't feel most people will be in agreement with it. Especially people, yes, the power gamers who do abuse initiative might not like it. But I mean, even the power gamers who do abuse that kind of stuff generally are more okay with things like all the infantry moves last, or infantry is a single token. I have heard as well, through the grapevines, they were also thinking of a dice bag kind of situation, like with not Flames of War, the other one. God damn it. Bolt action. Conflict 47 bolt action. So every unit has a dice in a bag. You shake the bag, you pull a dice out, and that's the unit that activates. I've heard through the grapevine they were thinking about that as well. And that would be a huge change compared to what Battletech is how Battletech is currently being played, though. Does anybody here play Conflict 47 or the Bolt Action, the World War II game?
Not me.
Not you. I mean, it's not a super popular game. I like it personally. I like playing it with my friends, but it's very 40K-ish in a way. Old school 40K, even though you have just Imperial Guards in a way. But the initiative system in that is kind of fun. It kind of randomizes a little bit more what's going to happen, and you don't know as much like when your units are going to be pulled out, even though you have an idea since you're shaking the bag and you're like, okay, I've got 6 units in that bag. He's got 5. So there's more chances that it pulls out one of my dice. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but that would be a huge change for Battletech. And I'm not sure they're ready to go for huge changes yet, especially as people are not entirely sold on CGL itself to begin with. So I just heard that through the grapevine. I can't even remember where. It was a discussion somewhere. We already talked about the water movement revision that they wanted to do. This one is mostly good, at least in my opinion. A lot less piloting skill checks for getting into water. So if you're walking into water, you don't do a PSR. If you run into water, you have to do a PSR at +0, which is, it can be bad, especially if you're one of the power gamers. Once again, that doesn't make a pilot 2-6 because you want to save on battle value. But for average people who just bring your regular, 3-4s, 4-4s, 4-5s pilots, it won't be a huge difference. It's just going to make water more fun to play with and more fun to play around, which I think is fair. They have a good number of maps with water floating around. So, not a terrible change, all in all. Do we have anybody else that wants to chime in on the water changes?
Yep, you pretty much said it. I mean, I'm in agreement with you there.
Immobile units, as newly defined below, cannot be assigned movement selections. So that kind of goes with this, but this I do agree with. If you're immobile, you shouldn't be an initiative. You shouldn't have an initiative role. You're just immobile. We know you don't need to be declared immobile. You're just immobile. Right? But they have something quite precise here. They're going with something very precise to say what's immobile and what is not immobile. Building X's, X's with mines on it as an example. Mech that are shut down or abandoned. Reduced to 0 MP entirely due to damage. Losing a leg and an actuator, something like that, when you're really at 0 MP. Or with an unconscious mechwarrior. So that is what they consider immobile. Following are not immobile. Mobile mechs that choose to stand still. Okay, that's okay. Prone mechs. Maybe, I guess you're rolling around, so that's okay. Mechs reduced to 0 MP due to eat. I mean, that would probably mean that your mech is still mobile, just very, very slow. And a mech with its gyro destroyed. So they're making sure of what is immobile and what is not immobile. In a way.
Yeah, they
And
want to make sure that.
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So they want to make sure that it only counts as initiative if the mech is standing still on its own volition. That it's not like a. So yeah, I go with that.
Yeah.
But not having a mech reduced to 0 MP due to overheating doesn't sound like it makes sense.
It makes sense if you go in lore that it's still mobile. It's still able to, trudge around at very slow speed because the engine is just overtaxed. You're still able to turn the twist the torso. You're still able to do not quite a few things, but a few things. But I mean, I would also be okay with mechs with reduced to 0 MP due to eat being in immobile. I would also be okay with that.
Well, but a mech that's reduced to 0 MP can still take orders. They can still like torso twist or shoot something that uses little to no heat. So they can still take orders. Unlike a mech that's shut down. That it doesn't matter how much.
But reduced to 0 MP due to damage. If you lost both legs, as an example, which is what they put down there, I mean, you can technically still, prop yourself up with one arm if you still got an arm and shoot with what's in the other arm.
Yeah.
So that seems counterintuitive. You're right, Akiris.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. That's a good.
I mean,
he means you're not moving.
Yeah. I mean, mobility kill on a vehicle stops being a sink as well, technically, because of a vehicle that has no movement points falls into this first category. So will no longer be able to say, yeah, my Shrek with heavy and light armor, light engine damage. Yeah, it's immobile. Yeah, it is immobile. We know that. You don't need to declare it, and you lose that initiative sync. Once again, it goes with what we were talking earlier. I have a feeling someone doesn't like losing initiative, but in this case, it actually makes sense. It makes a whole lot of sense here. Prone mechs is like when a quad mech goes prone. Yes, but even a regular bipedal mech can go prone. It's part of the movements you can do. Is it good? Generally not, unless you're trying to really hide. You're trying to hide or get out of the way for shots, things like that. You can do things with being prone as a bipedal mech. You just generally won't be able to shoot a whole lot compared to a quad who doesn't really care for that. Reduces the constantly commanded on option of choosing an immobile mech to move first. Yeah, that removes a block of the initiative sinks later on in the game, because those kind of situation will happen later in the game normally, right? So at the start of the game, you often have initiative sinks and things like that, but later on in the game, when everything's blown up and everybody's moving at like 1-2 because they're overeating, it's a little bit different. What I'm not 100% sure with those rules here, because if you're immobile, you technically have a bonus to it, if I remember right. A bonus to your it roll. I can't remember that particular bit, or if it had changed over the years.
If you are still able to fire, yes, it's like standing still, but it's that whole thing of you are a much easier target to hit now.
Late to the party due to time lag listening. As for an infantry, battle armor, and the mech that the battle armor rode on are assigned as one unit. That's for his particular group rules. So when the mech or the battle armor goes, the other unit moves too. Not bad. I mean, that's the thing. The thing is, when we're talking about mobility killing vehicles, this is if you actually play by the rules and not with the battlefield support rules, because the battlefield support rules are their own thing, and they don't mobility kill vehicle as easily as frequently as they should. First, and two, as they used to. But
To Magger MH's remark of that may nerf vehicle only lineups. Once again, CGL does not like Clan Hell's horses.
But here's another thing. The game's called Battletech, a game of armored combat, and you're supposed to play big robots. It's a game about big robots shooting other big robots. You can have smaller robots and really small robots too. Protomechs and battle armors. Tanks and everything else, that's fluff that's around it. Personally, I like vehicles just to be there because I know they should be there, but they should never be your primary unit, and you should never bring to a tournament a tank only list, because if you want to do that, go play Flames of War. Flames of War is the game for you if you want to play with tanks, not Battletech. It's like I was saying with somebody else when we were talking about Alpha Strike. If you want to play a game with large groups of mechs and formations and things like that, go get Heavy Gear. Heavy Gear's the game for you in that case. Okay, Silent Mouse being mean here, yet quite accurate. Nobody likes Clan Ellsworth.
And there's the Quad V.
There is the Quad V.
Yeah, I mean, I think I posted that, I think it's time for Operation Glue Factory.
Oh, God, that's mean. Not untrue, but mean. Honestly, I mean, why hasn't CGL released a Quad V box with all of the Quad Vs with their tank version and a unit version? And they could sell it at a decent price because it'd be a big chunk of plastic.
Well, that and quad mechs they're a nice little novelty, and I would contend that some of the smaller quads have their place, especially like the Jaguar, because it's super fast and has a turret.
But then you have things like the Sirocco and the Goliath.
Well, no. I have fantasies of invading the Marian hegemony on a bunch of Goliaths dressed up like elephants.
There you go.
Through a pirate point, of course.
I mean, we did a great turtle with a partial wing and talons. So I mean, there's things you can do with, quad mechs that are entirely stupid, but really funny. Does that mean they're good? Maybe not all of them, but
I mean, they pay for it for having less crit slots overall.
It's terrible. That's really the problem with quads, is that they have less crit slots than a regular mech when they probably should have more because of how they're set up.
That would be my big controversial change, is adding more crit slots to quad.
Add a 6 slot to the head,
or just around the center torso and side torsos.
No, I'd add 6 slots to the head, just straight up 6 slots added to the head. Have fun. And you could put a turret there as well, and different things.
I also think they should get special DFA rules for a belly flop.
A DFA with a quad is already deadly enough with 4 hits in the punch hit locations with kicks, especially when you start mounting talons on your quads. I mean, that was 120 damage that from above on that great turtle. with ardent armor that you just can't stop. So, there's things you can do. No, TO backward rule movement is implemented. You can change one level down while walking backwards with a piloting skill roll.
This is something in Mega Mech that's quite
I mean,
popular to do now.
it's already it's already a regular special rule. They're just making it standard, and I don't think it's this year. I think is a really good thing. I don't think anybody doesn't play that way. So, I mean, okay, there's my brother, but my brother still plays with the compendium from 1990, and when I bring something with a rack, he panics. So let's be nice to my brother, okay? Inner sphere ER lasers outside of the ER large, he has problems with. If you want a true Grongyard, he's a Clan Invasion Grongyard and 3050 Grongyard in this case. No, Major, what I say is add 6 slots to the head. You'd have the 1 to 6. That's what you currently have. And then you'd have another block of 6 added to the head from there. That's what I would do with the quads. You could add slots to the legs. You could add slots in the torsos, like you said. I think adding slots to a quad would make quads more relevant in general, I would say. Mechs can move through X's containing enemy immobile units, but may still not end or move in one. Okay. This is a bit odd. But I mean, if they're immobile and they can't really take action, you should be able to walk through the X because they're supposed to be fairly large X's of 30 meters. Yeah, okay. A little bit.
But there is still the SBA.
And I mean, you can't stop in the X. It's okay. I think vehicles, you could already do that and walk around to begin with. So it's a change for a change. This one here, that's what I feel like is just we're changing it because we can change it.
You could add a house rule where if you're moving through a space that has an immobilized mech, you spend a mobility point to teabag your opponent, and then you gain extra victory points.
Clearly, I will teabag your Shrek with my Atlas. That is definitely a thing to do.
Using the Warhammer, using a wasp to do a stag leap to mushroom stamp the immobilized Atlas that's still standing up but shut down.
One of the problem I have with this is if this is going on, why can't you do a physical attack on the unit as you're going through the X? He's already immobile. He's stuck there. I'm walking past the guy with my archer. I see a mech just laying on the ground, immobile. I mean, I'm just gonna stomp on the bastard as I'm going through.
Not to rule lawyer, but that's the wrong phase because the only attacking you do in the movement phase is what a charge, and you're not ending at that immobilized mech.
But think about it. Is what I'm saying right or wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong in an actual reality sense, but I'm talking like I'm putting my
rules wise.
Yeah, my rule lawyer hat on, which makes me hate myself. But I get what you're saying.
I mean, what I do is you put a token on where you moved, and during the physical attack phase, you resolve that token, which is a physical attack as you're moving through the X. But that would be like an house rule or something like that. I mean, that's just how I feel. I mean, as an archer pilot, I like to do physical attacks. That's what archers are meant to do. Okay?
I can respect that.
A lot of people have the wrong assumption that the archer is just a fire support mech. It is not. It is entirely not just a fire support mech. Especially if you flip all the medium lasers ahead. Things get very dicey if you do that.
They've got hands. Someone needs to catch them.
Exactly.
Yep.
Boy, the bombardier. No, the bombardier is still terrible. But I mean, it's not as terrible as some other mechs are. But the bombardier's the bombardier. It's like the archer, the archer that took an Atkins diet or something. All right. Change the weapon attack phase to the ranged attack phase. Because some people were confused because it says weapon and the hatchet is a weapon, and they got confused.
Okay.
Yeah. Your rule lawyer at's not on anymore?
I mean, it weapon. I mean, there's a melee phase. A hatchet is a melee weapon.
Yes. This is because people are stupid and they need to be told. That's the only way, only thing I can think of here.
Oh, this is why I am sad.
There's some people who need everything written down. I mean, this is like, it's a change just in the name. I honestly don't care. I don't care if they change that, because it's still going to be the same thing for me. I'm still going to go, okay, shoot my weapons, then melee. You know.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You fire the gun, then you bayonet. You can bayonet and then fire the gun, but that's, as epic as it sounds, that's kind of a moot point.
you never
It
know.
helps with aim.
In real life, it'll be pointless because the bayonet is probably going to kill the guy anyway, especially since they're triangle shaped. But, if you're fighting in medieval and fantasy stuff, if you're doing that on an ogre, you might need to stab with the bayonet, then shoot. And maybe you'll finally hit something. But I digress. I'll do my Taz impression here. But I digress. The multiple target modifier is altered to a flat +1 regardless of arc. Just to simplify rules. It improves rear weapons as well, as from what they say. Rear weapons are an oddity to begin with. I always say in every single one of my video with mechs with rear weapons that people always flip them forward, and they do. But, this makes rear-facing weapons a little bit better. Drew Lavers, welcome in. Is that a huge change? A little bit. This is a thing that needs to be play tested more than anything else. I don't see it breaking the game, but I see it making a decent change in what is going to happen, basically. Especially with mechs that can flip their arms. If you flip your arms to shoot backwards and you still got weapons shooting forwards, and you've got like your big guns in the arms like many mechs do, this will be a straight improvement in every single way. Not just it's simpler, but there's mechs that are going to be benefiting from this, especially clan mechs with PPCs or autocannons in the arms that generally can flip their arms backwards because they don't have the actuators for it. Is it a +1 for all targets? That is a question here. No, it's the multiple targets modifier. So it's after the first target, you get a +1 on all of them. At least from what I read from that particular rule.
So it's a little simpler, but I do like that suggestion, Major, with a +1 for all targets, because you are shooting
for each target.
Well, yeah, for if you're shooting multiple targets, because if you've ever engaged in the hobby of cordless hole punchers, it is a little bit, you do have, if you're shooting two targets at once and you have to prioritize, you have to reacquire the sight picker just a little bit. But it it kind of, I mean, I think that would add just an overall better thing.
I think
to
it
the
would be
game.
better as well. So +1 for the first one, +2 for the second one, +3 for the third one. I mean, does it happen often in BattleTech? Not very often.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like a +1 for every target that you're multi-firing at.
Mm.
Just a flat +1.
I mean, that would also make multi-track, which is a quirk, maybe potentially a little bit better.
But
Um,
but that's a quirk.
Yeah.
You know, if we're
but
talking
no, but I
like,
mean, it might make it better because currently multi-track is just weird in how it sounds. Now it would be just like ignore the penalty when firing at multiple targets.
yeah,
It would make the quirk easier to manage in a way.
I was thinking more like Unga Bunga Tech, where we don't have really quirks.
Quirks is another world, and they haven't even touched them. They haven't even started touching them. But I think that quirks are not in the main book to begin with, so that would explain why. Because those are supposed to be stuff in the main rule book. So who knows? This one here, I don't have much of a problem with. It has to be play tested, and we'll see if it works or not. This one here is one I oppose vehemently. Partial cover is no longer negated by height advantage.
Yeah, that's
What?
high ground is high ground.
Yes, right. What they're proposing is that if you're in partial cover, you're always in partial cover, whether you're in any kind of thing. This will be faster and cleaner, no exceptions. I mean, it's not really an exception. Look, the guy's higher up. He's shooting at you. Your partial cover doesn't count because he sees you. One of the problem with Battletech in general is the fact that every mountain and everything is always like X's. You know, it's always blocks of X's. You never have that, regular, just a regular ill that goes up a little bit, and then it's a little bit higher, and then a little bit higher, and then a little bit higher, which would negate partial cover as well. So
The constant but gentle slope.
the constant but gentle slope, yes. They do exist in some other games, and that makes that when you play without X's and you don't use X-Tech terrain, the terrain that's just X's, if you use actually regular slopes and regular buildings from, let's say, from Warhammer, I mean, those are going to be real big building with your mechs next to it, but still, partial cover has always been weird if you play without X's. But if you're higher up and you're shooting down, you should I know in heavy gear you get a bonus on your roll when you attack from higher up. You get I have the higher ground Anakin bonus, basically.
Yeah.
You don't have that in Battletech, but you ignore partial. Right now, you ignore partial cover. They want to remove that because it's going to be simpler, basically dumbing down the things. This I pretty much disagree with. And I think a lot of people do as well.
Yeah, if we take that to the extreme, if a bomber is overhead and dropping a bomb, I get partial cover because I'm next to a mountain, even though it's dropping right on my head.
Looking down on them in a VTOL, but they have partial cover. But, same thing, exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well,
that's not very good.
No.
For firing while prone, the wording is changed from as long as neither of its arm has been destroyed to as long as it has one arm. Basically, you can now prop yourself up and shoot with your torso weapons, I guess. But this one is just weird, but not a huge change, I would say. The next one is the special aimed shot roll on an immobile target changes from 2d6 needing 6 to 8 from 1d6 needing 4+. So 1d6 is a quicker roll process than 2d6, and 4+ roll I is more intuitive. It also raises the chance of hitting the desired location from 44.4% to 50%. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's obscure and rare that you get those, and it's just one more instance where do I roll 2d6 for this or 1d6 for this? So I mean, maybe it'll be faster with people who are familiar with when you roll 2 to 1, but this is kind of, I mean, yes, it happens, but it's not every game that you get someone who's immobilized.
And then you do a name shot at it. Add that to the mix.
Here.
Right? It's one of those very odd kind of situation. I would personally tweak it to if you make your roll and you beat it by X amount, you hit what you want to hit. That would be a lot more logical. Like if you beat your target number by 2, you hit the target you want to hit, rather than having to roll an extra dice or anything like that. That's just me, how I would write that rule. But maybe that would make it too easy to do the aimed shot. But then again, this is a really odd one. So.
I get that they're trying to simplify it. I'm not in agreement with how they're doing it.
That's mostly what I'm saying through most of this thing as well. It's odd a little bit.
And that's right, Major Playtest. We can speculate all we want. The proof's in the pudding.
I mean, if the book's already written and at the printer and they're just, lip servicing us by saying it's a playtest, it's bullshit. If it's actually them playtesting it and listening to people actually having these kinds of discussions, we might get somewhere.
Yeah, CGL doesn't listen to a thing we say. Except for the Targ hate. I'm still... Oh, yeah. I have words.
We all have words, unfortunately. And none of them will be listened to.
No,
but I mean,
no.
maybe they should sit down and listen to some of those streams. It would maybe help them in the long run.
You would think.
They're scrapping the side tables. Basically, the way it'll work now is if you get it from the right or the left, any instances of right torso, if you're getting shot on the left, any instances of right torso will be left torso. Any instances of left arm or right arm will be, the arm on the side you're getting shot. This I'm honestly not sure of. Some people are saying it's a good idea. Some people are saying it's a bad idea. There's very few people in the middle. And I'm not in the middle. I'd prefer they just, stick with what already exists because, well, it existed for 40 years at this point, right? So why change
agree.
something?
I agree with that. Because let's say a mech is taking far more damage on your opponent's mech is taking far more damage on one side than the other, then it's to your advantage to shift your position to apply more pressure to that side. And you already have like a fill in the bubble sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So there is complexity to it, and I think that's something they need to keep.
So it is it is a thing that will need. That's probably one of the things that will need the most playtest, and that people will playtest the least in the long run. That's part of my problem with this as well, because it's a thing that they can discuss all the way around, but there's also the fact that the side is still like the 2 rear X behind you, and the rear is the X right behind you, and it's always been a little bit odd how the sides are counted versus how the front is counted. So maybe there's things that they could play around with. This is a big discussion. Someone said that they would have preferred those rules to be in effect last weekend because they got one of their mechs blown. The arm on the opposite side blow up by shots from like the right side, and they didn't like that. I get that. But a mech is always supposed to be in movement, and they're not supposed to be those tank walking kind of thing that we see from the video games. So,
yeah. And I mean, the front arc is still pretty wide compared to the others. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, thank God, because if the rear arc was as big as the front arc, the mechs would all need to be rearmored to have an equal amount of armor in the front and the back.
indeed.
D-Wolf saying that partial cover is OP, not as much as it was. Let's just go with that. I mean, partial cover now is more or less straightforward. Yes, you can ignore the shots to the legs. That's the biggest problem. But I don't think it's game breaking or anything. It used to be that it was like a +3 to it when you were behind partial cover, and it made things absolutely insane. You always had to have partial cover. Nowadays, you don't, which is a little bit better. CGL will take advice under advisement and will promptly do whatever they want. Yeah. Let's not go into that too much on this particular stream. Line of sight checking does take time. All miniatures should come with a laser pointer built into the base. And when you press down on the mech, it turns on the laser pointer and it gives you the line of sight.
Where did I see those? They might have just used like a hardware store laser line draw.
I mean, my brother has a laser line draw like that for various games, and we use it for Battletech, and we use it for Star Wars, and we use it for a variety of things.
Use the periscope like they did in that old Dugram box.
Yes.
LOS checking.
But no, I'm really saying like every mech should have a laser pointer built into the base to tell you what line of sight you get. That'd be
the clicky tech.
That'd be $50 per miniature, because that's what they would charge for those.
And it would double as a cat toy.
And it would double. Every single mech would double as a cat toy. Even better.
Battery sold separately.
Good Lord.
Of course.
Melee changes. Major rebalancing. Ugh. This is weird and not weird at the same time. Some of them I'm very okay with. Some of them I'm like, why? A club only requires you to skip your range attack phase to pick up instead of all attacks that round. Easier of finding in a rubble building and inflicts a PSR on target if it's. Basically, they're making clubs a lot better than they currently are. That's what they're really trying to do. Basically, you can pick up a club, then it in the same turn, while you couldn't do that now. Which makes clubs, usable. Let's say you're in the forest right in front, right next to another mech. You can just grab a tree and smack the guy with the tree you picked up.
Or
will it be your primary idea? Probably not, but
I mean, if
cool.
You're grabbing it during your firing phase, you get to use it that melee phase then?
Yeah. That's basically what they're saying.
Or you skip your severed mech limb or
a girder
gun pod that you pick up to go and commie conk someone with.
Beating a mech's arm off with the girder and then grabbing their arm.
I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with clubs that they haven't thought of, especially when you start looking at specialized thing like those very long piece of rebar, the size of, what a mech would use as a thing. If you take that and you stick that through a tank, the tank's going to stop moving. Whatever amount of armor it has, it's going to stop moving, as an example.
Like putting a log in the tracks.
There's a lot of melee options and things like that we don't think of because Battletech doesn't let us think that way. But if you watch enough anime, you will start thinking of,
Using the rebar to plant your flag on the top of a tank.
there you
You're
go.
not going anywhere.
Tractor trailer nunchucks.
I mean, it's still one of the greatest bit in Pacific Rim when he grabs the boat as a baseball bat and just smacks the kaiju with it. It just it reverberates with your mech lover right there. So this here I'm actually okay with because it's fun and it adds an element to the game which is not bad. Kicks attack change from -2 to -1. So kicks are going to be less accurate, while punches are going to be more accurate from +0 to -1. Push attacks inflicted on a struck target goes from a 0 to a +1. So pushes are a little bit better as well. Not many people push to begin with, but I mean, if they make pushes better, maybe some people will start using it. But no, right now kicks, it's a -2 to your attack roll. Kicks are really easy to land and always cause piloting skill rolls when they do land. Kicks are the best melee physical attack in Battletech, bar none. Punches are good because you have 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head, and in any mech, well, no, there's no mech that can really punch a head off without having either triple strength myomer or a weapon. So I'm ambivalent on the punch because that I'm okay with, because punches being a little bit better is not a bad thing. Kicks getting a little bit worse is also probably not a bad thing, because if you play Mega Log or if you play just Battletech a lot and you start getting into physical phase, all you're going to be doing is playing kicky poo. Everybody's just going to kick each other's shin until someone falls down. That's kind of how it feels, right?
What, kicking them down and then shooting them is going to end up doing more damage than trying to fish for a headshot with a punch.
Exactly, because you have weapon in those arms that you're not going to be able to use if you punch, except on an Ost mech, because an Ost mech has, no weapons in the arms. But you know what I mean there.
As opposed to the major downside of not being able to fire your leg-mounted weapons.
Yeah, the push attack change can create more "this is Sparta" moments.
Yes, and that's not bad either. But you still need both of your arm to push, so you do lose all the attacks with the weapons in your arms and any ability to punch that turn. So you have to think: do you really want to push someone?
But if you think back to the most fun you've ever had in Battletech, it's always those like getting punched in the face and your head explodes kind of moments. So I think,
the demo game we did, the first stream you were with me, where I randomly kicked a Black Hawk's head with my Shadowhawk and hit the cockpit. There you go.
Oh yeah, the danger of being one level higher in kicking.
One level higher in kicking is deadly. I mean, I've destroyed more than one mech by kicking their head off. So, however, no amounts of TN modifier adjustment would make people want to club anything. These are never used for good reason, and so the changes need to be more dramatic. Wow, that's mean but true.
Do you really need a good reason to use a club?
If you're a power gamer or a tournament player, yes.
Yeah,
if you're having fun like me, no.
I mean, we don't speak of those people. They're, they're people.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you automatically get a piloting skill roll on a club attack, I think will be good, though. I think that's a good improvement on it, because since you pick it up during your range phase, if you're right next to the guy in rubble building, You pick up a girder, you smack it, he falls on the ground. That's a huge advantage in that turn, and it can be better than a kick in that case. And Ost pilots will eat very well with that particular rule because, well, they're just going to pick up a club and hit people with it. Yes, you can also pick up a mech's broken down limb and go stop hitting yourself. You're also allowed to do that. 100% right.
It lets you recreate more artwork, which is good.
That does allow you to make a whole lot more artwork, which is also good. Next one is just weird. Charge attack count the X the target is in when calculating damage. So
it used to be no counting the target or the X the target was in.
Exactly, but you pay the MP to move into it. So that's their logic, is that you pay the MP to move into it, so you should count that X. I'm kind of okay with that, but what I'm not okay with is if you add this, 0x charge should be allowed. You should be able to do a shoulder tackle at close range. You're right next to the guy, you just shoulder tackle them.
Because this displaces you as well, so as compared to like a push.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this I would be okay if I'm okay with the rule more or less, but I would allow the 0x charge in those cases because you pay the 1 MP to move into his X to charge him in the end. And it would allow you to do those football lines with battle mechs. Just smash into each other at extremely close range and hope for the best.
I guess this would buff lance users.
Mm. Yeah, true. It is an advantage to lance user.
And spikes. There's a few mechs of spikes.
Both of which they're adding to the core rulebook, spikes and lances. So it is improvement on some of the equipment that we discussed before. That not that they made big changes to them, but that they're adding them to the core rules. So this one's not. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just a change. It works. Yeah, I mean, the idea shoulder tackles are more pushes than charges. I mean, an actual shoulder tackle is going to deal a whole lot more damage than a push. That's the thing. Even with reinforced armor and everything. So,
because with the charge, you displace into their X as opposed to the push where you stay in your X.
But chest bumping is legal. Yes. 2 Atlases should always chest bump after they blow up something.
It's just 2 sentinels trying to unjam the autocannon.
DFA attack direction is determined by the attacker's last X, not its starting X. Okay, first you need to do that from above. Second, you need to hit. Not a huge deal. I don't think that's a major change either. Here.
Unless you have like a nimble mech that's trying to death from above around like a corner.
Things like the spider with nimble jumper might be affected by this, but that's quirks once again. But it's gonna be very. It's gonna be this change is very situational. I don't think it's gonna affect much in the long run. Basically,
it just affects the tripping spider.
Spiders are nasty when you know how to use them. I mean, run behind someone, kick them, run away. That was the standard strategy with spiders.
That and the venom.
The venom's an expensive spider. That's what it is, right?
Yeah. Those variable speed pulse laser spiders. Oh, those are nasty.
Yeah, yes, you are 100% right. Add clubs and physical weapon to the list of physical attacks allowed against a prone mech. Again, a very limited kind of thing, but I can see why they would add that. Because I mean, in the end, if the guy's down and you got your hatchet, you can just plant your hatchet in its back and there you go, right? So the fact that it wasn't allowed,
Stop resisting.
you're resisting arrest. If you're in a berserker and you're hitting a downed locust with your hatchet, is that considered a war crime?
Uh,
I mean, Brain Ding Ow saying, wait, that wasn't allowed. Welcome to the wonderful world of Battletech, where most people don't read the rules and expect them to work the way they want.
This being
I
there's
mean-
a number of cases where a downed mech takes less damage from your melee as opposed to withstanding.
I mean, that's the nasty thing. You technically take more because you have a lot more. I have a lot more range to swing that hatchet down. I'd have far more momentum.
Yeah, that's the way it should work. But then if you have extra melee weapon and then you can't use it because the other guy is on the ground.
Mhm.
I mean, so your hatchet man can now take scalps.
Yes. Your hatchet man is less bad than it was, but I'd still take a night sky before.
Yeah, I mean, but it's never a war crime the first time, or the
Exactly.
second time, or until they
As a
form
Canadian,
another Ares
let's
convention.
be proud. It's the Geneva Convention because of us. Police brutality, Cretan style, sign me up, coordinator. There you go. I would probably rule claws being glorified punches as not eligible, but that's minutiae. Probably. But I mean, I can still, even punches, you can just swing your mech downwards and start punching the guy while he's down. I mean, we do that in hockey all the time.
If you have a gyro, you can stay standing and bend over.
Exactly. I mean,
Drop the elbow of justice.
if you're able to do a people's elbow, it's going to be a little bit harder, but you should be able to do a people's elbow in a battle mech.
And can we make it a house rule not to use the word minutiae? Like,
you have to remember those documents are written by CGL people who like to off their own farts, so they will use words like this.
we're adding that to the Geneva Conventions. Minutiae should not be a word. It's pedantic.
Yes. Would I ever use it normally? Not in normal parlance. Can we put parlance as well in the words we shouldn't be using?
Well, but parlance is French and you're Canadian. That's part of your natural tongue. Like it's like a, because I got a little punch card that every time I hear a Canadian say a, I punch it, and then I don't know, I give myself like a poutine at the end of the punch card there.
Okay, don't go talk to my dad, and you'll be fine. Or you'll probably have like a dozen poutine by the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't think that's good for my cardiac health.
It's not good for anyone's cardiac health. Rear kicks by quad mech. The mule kick no longer have an extra +1 target number modifier. That's fine. That's fine. Like, make quad mechs better. I'm fine with that. And then let's change the punch it table chart for no good reason. So it's a random change to put the change the punch it table for no reason other than we can change the punch it table because it'll look better, I guess. The odds don't change. There's nothing that really changes with it. It's just we feel like we need to change it. This is kind of pointless, in my opinion.
Replace complexity with complexity because fuck you.
Because we want to sell more books.
Is it at least going to be easier to read?
It's not going to be easier to read. It's going to be the exact same thing. Damage. Floating criticals become standard rule. So when you roll a 2 on your roll, you roll again, and that's where you deal the crit. Everybody plays that way anyways. So, yeah. Ammunition explosion only deal 1 pilot hit. ballistic weapons are a bad idea most of the time, even when they're as good as energy weapon. They never are. The only ballistic weapon that's as good as an energy weapon is a Gauss rifle. There you go. As we can't redo weapon stats, they directly mention it there. We want to reduce the ammo explosion pilot hits from 2 to 1. Okay.
Isn't Case supposed to do that?
Case is also supposed to do that, but does that mean that Case negates it? Or just you still take 1? Or I mean, someone got killed too often by ammo explosion in the CGL lab, and they're trying to nerf ammo explosion. That's what all those rules read as.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a common theme here. It's that this hurt my feelings. Let's change it.
Because, I mean, the big change is ammo explosion capped to 20, 10, 1. Standard ammo explosion, 20 damage. Case ammo explosion, 10 damage. Case 2 ammo explosion, 1 damage. And that's 1 damage going backwards if you're in the side torso. So if you get it in the side torso or even the center torso, if it has case 2, some people might do that, the damage from that goes to your rear armor. It doesn't go normal. So, but this ear combined with this ear, I mean, this ear I'm not opposed to because, I mean, pilot hits are annoying enough to begin with. I mean, taking an ammo explosion is deadly enough. I mean, if you only take 1 hit from that, it's not that bad. But combined with this, it really starts making ammo explosions less crazy as they were, basically.
Isn't that what people say about Succession Wars era battles, where it's just slapping each other until one of you gets an ammo explosion and then stops?
I mean, that's Succession War battles, and that's why the Crusader's awful during the Succession War, because you're always going to get ammo crits on a Crusader. Always. I've never not lost a Crusader to ammo explosion. Ever. The proposal was greatly favored over the most common alternative suggestion, free case for everyone, which was extremely unpopular. But how is it the most common alternate suggestion if it's also extremely unpopular? That is an odd way of wording things.
Yeah, someone I sense an autocrat in the midst.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's still, like a lot of people are saying, 20 damage is still massive, right? It still causes a piloting skill roll. It's still pretty nasty. So yes, that's true. But it's still a whole lot less than if a regular bin of LRM 20 gets it, which is 120. It's a massive difference.
Does this mean that a single round of fire is going to do the same amount of damage as a full bin of ammo?
Yes. All bins of ammo, it's always, the ammo explosion damage would always be 20 if you don't have case, 10 if you have case, 1 if you don't. 1 if you have a case 2. I mean, yes, walking ammo bombs with MGs are a bad thing. MGs will always kill you when they blow up nowadays. With this MG ammo getting it, well, you take 20, 10, or 1. But, like, it is a very either arbitrary or we want to do it this way because it might get people more happy and play longer. I don't know.
I mean, with the machine gun thing, I mean, it makes sense in real life because a lot of ammunition gets their power from being focused. Like wearing extremely heavy clothing next to some rounds getting popped off is, I mean, you're pretty much safe. There's not a lot of power to it. And
I mean,
if they're just
the
rattling
simplest
around,
solution would be to say that more ammo is non-explosive. Like
Well,
MG rounds not being explosive, just you hit the bin and they all fall down.
Exactly. Now, autocannons, they will have some explosive in those shells, even in AC2, so I can understand that.
Yeah.
But not machine guns, my goodness.
I mean, I think making machine gun non-explosive with the rules we currently have wouldn't be a bad thing either. Right?
Or just an extra roll to see if it does explode. Like you crit to hit it, but did you crit to blow it up or just render the ammo bin unusable?
Or you roll for how much damage it does. Like, okay, you hit my machine gun, I roll 2d6, it deals 12 because I got bad lucky and I rolled a 12. Something like that.
Well, I don't know. Machine guns, they're a niche weapon, ideal for battle armor or infantry. And how many game? I mean, on average, how many games do you play against someone who brings battle armor or infantry, or even you end up facing them with said mech with machine guns?
Machine guns are not a very good weapon to begin with.
Exactly.
Just go with that. Machine gun range should be tripled or even quadrupled to begin with. But they don't want to change the stats.
Once you start looking at the kind of ranges that foot infantry do, and then you look at your machine gun and get outranged by the guys with rifles.
Yeah, the guys have Barretts and they shoot further than your fancy machine gun and your battle mech. Yeah. I mean, 20 damage also destroys all side torsos except those on 100 tonners, which have 21 points of torso structure. Okay, yes, I understand, but then the overflow damage that you had before doesn't overflow as much as it used to, and this seems like very much a case of I'm sick of dying to ammo explosion. Let's change the ammo explosion rules. Well, there's someone that says the Piranha. Yes, you are right. The Piranha is a good machine gun mech, but there's a version with with micropulse lasers, which is even nastier. But there's that.
Also, for putting ammo in the arms, that sounds like a spheroid problem.
I mean, this is very, very odd. And you have the CGL Defense Force going all out saying this is the best rule change ever. If you go on some locations, you will see the people saying, like, this is the greatest idea ever. It should already be implemented. This is the greatest change that they've ever implemented and everything. While you have a whole bunch of other people saying, like, no, that doesn't make sense. So...
I mean, yeah, you're not calculating how much damage the ammo bin overkills you by, but...
Oh no. Large multiplications. My nemesis.
Like how much ammo is left in the bin and how much damage is that actually going to do to the mech?
Okay. Another thing where we understand that people don't like falling down, or someone at CGL doesn't like falling down. PSR for Gyro, it is reduced from a +3 to a +2. Because reasons.
I still don't think I've ever been able to make those PSRs, though. I think they've always just knocked me down.
I mean, getting it into Gyro is really bad. It's really bad.
Okay, you're gonna spend the rest of the game on the ground now. Prop yourself up and fire.
If you really wanted to be nice, you just remove the PSR from gyros, and when the gyro's destroyed, that's when things get really nasty. But that's just me.
I mean, that's what heavy gyro's for. Or
yeah. Well,
just
now
armoring the gyro.
They proposed that the heavy duty gyro actually be good now, so there is that. The +6 seatbelt check modifier for automatically falling caused by destroyed gyro is deleted. Okay, that's very niche, and once again, a thing that goes with I don't like falling down.
Well, it looks like they did actually play the game, and it looks like they're playing a whole.
Yeah, they do play the game. There's definitely people that played the game here, but it's people that don't like falling down and don't like ammo explosions. Ammo threshold, the E threshold for damage from life support critical hit is changed from 1525 one pilot hit and 26 2 pilot it to 10, 19 1 it, 20 plus 2 its. This is a change. I mean, how often have you lost your life support?
I can think of once.
I can only think of this applying with a torso mounted cockpit.
Or if you lose your life support to a pilot hit, then fall into water. Or losing life support's very niche, as you said.
Yeah. I mean, it's a change for a change here. That's what this feels like. It's like we decided to make a change to that because, well, or there's probably one time in a game where it happened to whoever and he didn't like that, so he went with that. So who knows? Or maybe it's a guy that dealt with poor life support too often. So it is a very weird change.
Oh, the poor life support quirk affecting this? So
Sorry?
You had the poor life support quirk, so this comes up.
Yeah, poor life support is a problem. Is where this would affect you, but they're not messing with quirks yet. So, The +1 target number penalty for firing from an arm that lost was what is designed with a lower armed actuator is removed. Having one critical hit do two different things depending on whether the mech was designed with the actuator or not is unintuitive and confusing. Okay, sure. That's fine. If you're wanting to remove confusion, that's not terribly bad.
Okay, but does this mean a lower arm actuator is just a crit barrier?
It really feels like the lower arm actuator will now just be a free crit, which is okay. It's like free armor for everything else, but it's a little bit weird, let's say.
This means that having a lower arm actuator in the hand, I don't care, just crit them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to remember that a lower arm actuator doesn't add the +1 targeting penalty, but an upper armed actuator does.
Yeah.
That's complexity there.
Honestly, like, they don't want to change record sheets, but, shoulder, elbow, and. That's what an arm is, right? Why is there upper arm and a lower arm actuator? Why is the leg actuators 4 actuators when, it's a foot, a knee, a hip?
I guess they want to... I guess it's for those mechs that have a lower arm actuator but no hand?
Yeah. This is a weird change. This is really just very weird. Foot actuator critical hit, delete the following +1 each. The mech controllers must make a PSR at the end of the phase in which the critical hit has occurred. So if you get a foot actuator damage, you don't have to roll a PSR anymore.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It's someone doesn't like falling, right?
I mean, that's part of the game, though. When you have giant stompy robots, the stompy go folly sometimes.
The foot location should also include the ankle, and you kind of need that for standing.
Yeah. I mean, this is very odd.
Plus,
But,
it would be
I mean, someone doesn't like falling. So
It's dumb.
well, Icar is going with the kill shot there.
It's retarded.
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
yeah,
if
we're
you
at
get-
30 in. We're fine.
If you get whacked in the ankle hard enough, you're going to go down.
No, I've never seen that happen in wrestling. Never. And I've never
Yeah.
seen a MMA fighter kick another guy and break his ankle doing the kick. Ugh, that was disgusting. If you ever want to look something that's absolutely disgusting, look that up.
When Silva
Yeah.
broke his shin kicking a guy,
Yeah.
and it just
Ugh.
wrapped around. I mean, you had late great Sid Vicious attempt to do a jump, he broke his ankle or his leg or his foot and went straight down on to the mat because of it.
Ugh. Yeah, leg injuries are never fun.
Same thing with Adam Copeland when he wrestled in that match against Malachi Black.
IP critical no longer have varying effect based on what other critical damage that leg has. PSR from its are reduced from a +2 to a +1 straight. Okay, they're reducing complexity once again and making it's less troublesome than they currently are. Someone doesn't like falling at CGL. Once again.
Did they hire that former PGI dev to consult on this or something?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it could be a wide variety of people in the office playing it because, I mean, it's still their bigger games. So it could be Zodal. It could be any of the old designers. It could be all sorts of people. Leg actuator critical hits never inflict more than 1 PSR per leg. More than 1 critical hit to actuators in the single leg adds to the PSR modifier, but does not increase the number of PSR made. This I'm okay with. All the damage is supposed to be done at the same time, right? So you shouldn't have multiple piloting skill rolls for getting multiple hits in the same leg. Technically, you should have only 1 piloting skill roll at the end of your turn if you have to take one. And it should be including all the modifiers that you piled up during the round. That's how I would do it, personally. If I was to change this,
Same.
just pile up all your modifiers and do your roll at the end of the round. So you might have a very, very bad roll to do rather than multiple okay rolls, but just one big roll at the end. But
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
but I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this particular wording here. This doesn't feel bad. So, did you have something here?
No. Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna roll if you get a gyro it and you get a leg it with a crit. You're gonna roll 2 PSRs. What I would do if I was to CGL and go to them and say, "This is how you do it, dummy." Just pile up all your modifiers. Do 1 roll at the end of the turn. That would be better.
1 roll for running with a damaged gyro, 1 roll for having your leg shot out from under you, 1 roll for taking more than 20 damage.
Yeah, just 1 roll that's absolutely terrifying at like an 11, but if you pass it, you're a king. If you don't, well, life.
I mean, yeah. If you get punched in the gyros, you don't just like, oh, okay, I'm still standing, and then, oh wait, I have a broken leg. Now I fall down. It's, I mean, it's, I mean, whether in real life or as how I imagine mech combat, all the shooting and all the weapons phases, they all happen simultaneously. So this should. You get punched in the face. You don't have the time in between all these little things happening to do your checks. It's
but in Airbrain Scheme Battletech, it feels like that.
Well,
yeah, I know.
Come on, that's just fantasy.
I mean, honestly, here, like we should go. Well, nobody here can talk to CGL anyways because none of us have accounts that are not blocked by CGL. But we should go to CGL and propose what I've just said.
They haven't blocked me. I just ignore them.
Ah, okay. Well, congratulations. You're better than the vast majority of us.
Well, no, I don't know. They haven't gotten around to me yet. And,
well, you probably have not replied to anything that they said, so that probably helps.
Yeah, I just don't care.
The destruction of the leg very rarely represents a surgical, precise removal of the limb right at the hip. Instead, it usually means the leg is reduced to a useless, even enduring lump of savage, unresponsive metal, now awkwardly fused to the mech, then dragged. Like they want to put that in the text. Like you don't have to be romantic when you're trying to write rules, guys. Just say like a leg damage is not a leg blown off. Leg blown off is its own particular thing. But if you've got a leg destroyed, +4 to target number on all piloting skill rolls, mech automatically ends its turn. Mech automatically ends its movement for that turn, except if jumping, and must make a PSR. Okay. Mech with a leg destroyed can't kick, reduce its current walking MP by half, requires a PSR whenever it runs and jump. Basically, they're doing the mechwarrior 5 or Airbrain Scheme Battletech leg damage. That's what they're working with here. Not sure I agree. But oh well, it's how a lot of people view Battle Mech and Battletech now anyways. So this one I'm not 100% sure, and it's still going to be hard to walk around with a missing leg. So I'm honestly, this one here I'd need to play test, obviously, but I'm not sure if it's good or not. It does make losing a leg not as deadly as it currently is, basically. A leg blown off result would still be a separate leg totally gone state. That's when things get, you add complexity when you're trying to remove complexity. So weird. So this one here, lasting of the damage section. We still have a few sections, but we might go fast on a few of those. The 1 eat created for each attempt to stand is deleted. Once again, someone doesn't like falling. But here, I don't think it's a big difference. Don't think it's going to change anybody's lives.
No, but it's still walking.
But no, you have to pay an eat to try to get up and then pay your eat for walking.
Ah, gotcha.
So if you have to try to stand 3 times, that's 3 eat that you generate. Now you won't generate any. I'm not even sure if people, played that way to begin with. So there is that. The immediate piloting skill roll at +3 required for the mech that shuts down is deleted. Instead, if a mech shuts down and the mechwarrior is conscious, it can automatically fall. This is not a piloting skill roll. Okay. This is, once again, imitating a little bit mechwarrior 5 and things like that. But, I mean, your mech shouldn't be falling over because the engine is shut down due to overeating. The engine is still technically working. What's shutting down is all your other systems. So the gyro and the engine is still running. It's just everything else is shutting down so it can recover from overeating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the mech still loses its agency, so
yeah,
it's more prone to fall. I mean, and it does make sense that you still have to make a seatbelt roll if you fall and your butts are shut down.
Yeah,
because the pilot has agency.
Other actions. The piloting skill roll to stand up is changed from a 0 to a -1. Someone doesn't like falling. Again and again and again.
To be fair, we use the careful stand rule a lot.
We looked at a variety of things here, including making a version of the careful stand rule as a default option. But that needs its own set of balance, and then you need to have 2 sets of standing rule in core as well, which is not desirable. Okay. They just want to make people being able to stand up more easily. This is a change for a change. I'm not sold on it, and I never like things that are changing for changing. But then again, if you start playing with quirks and advanced things, well, if you don't have arm actuators, those go up. And yeah, who knows? This is a thing that really needs playtest. And I don't think it's bad, but I feel like it's not necessary. The piloting skill roll modifier to avoid pilot damage when falling from higher level is changed from a +1 per level, starting at 2, to a +1 per level, starting at 1. Okay, this almost never happens, so not a big deal. The piloting skill rule modifier for hitting with a successful death from above is reduced from a +4 to a +2. So they're just making death from above more efficient. Okay, sure. Not sold on this. This also seems like a change for a change, but oh well. A change to, well, just how the wording of the seatbelt check is done. All right, no big deal. A mech above the water surface that falls into a depth 1 or greater water falls to the bottom of the X, counting depths as level fallen, and divide the final damage by 2. So falling down in water will cause damage, but less damage than if you're just falling normal. Once again, very niche and very situational kind of thing. Facing after a fall table is deleted. That's a big change. Instead, a mech always falls facing the direction it had while standing. Roll a d6 when the mechs fall. On a 1, the fall damage is dealt to its rear. Otherwise, the damage is dealt to its front. This is weird because, yes, some people might be confused by facing after a fall. It's a table, and tables are confusing for people, you know. And here, you know, it's a case of you basically fall face first, or you might fall on the back if you roll the 1. Just a little bit weird. You should fall in the direction the damage you're taking is coming from, but that would get things very, very, very confusing. You know, I don't think that would work normally. So this one here just sounds a little bit weird, and they want to add the table anyways for people who like the randomness. So this feels like a change for a change once again. Just because we can change it, we'll change it kind of thing. Consciousness rolls are only ever made once per phase, regardless of the number of hits suffered that phase, using the current, i.e. highest number. Just like with the piloting skill we were talking earlier, here they're saying that the consciousness check, you should only do 1, and it's the last one of the turn. Or the last one of the phase, basically. This basically nerfs shotguns, well, LBXs. SRMs, a few different things here. But it's still nasty enough, you know, because if you get it 3 times through an LBX, you're still going to have to roll, you know, a 7 or something. So it's still nasty, but you don't have to roll 3 times, which is good because it reduces the number of rolls, but it's bad because it reduces the chances you have of going unconscious, so you lose a little bit of that randomness. So
kind of defeats a point of taking an LBX or something like that, especially when they're trying to make autocannons more palatable.
It's an odd change, and it's really dumb what they're writing here. The make every separate roll approach is counterintuitive. You're right. So why are we doing it for piloting skill rolls? And since nothing else in Battletech works that way, piloting skill skill rolls work that way.
But the head is kind of, I don't know, important.
Yeah.
That, yeah, concussions are a thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a bad idea, I think, this year, but it does nerf some weapons a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think LBXs need to be nerfed anymore, especially with like Ferro Laminar coming out and everything like that. I mean, the bell, and bell ringing is a viable strategy.
Yeah.
Honestly, LBX should have a choke setting as well. You can either get a -1 to it, or a +2, no bonus to it, but a +2 on all your cluster shots. Let's add complexity to Battletech.
Instead of slugs, you just have better clustering.
Yeah, you have a choke on your shotgun.
Yes, that's a exactly. I mean, and why has no one made,
if you wanted LBX? Okay, let's theory craft here because we're done with that document. LBX with chokes. You can have a -2 to it, but a -2 on your clustering. A -1 to it with a 0 bonus or 0 modifier to your clustering, or no modifier and a +2 to your clustering.
Just making it so that the clusters tend to hit more in one location.
No, you just get more its. Like if you have an LB10, you're gonna roll a +2. You're on the cluster chart, you're gonna roll on +2. So your 7's gonna turn into a 9, so you're gonna deal from 7 damage to 9 damage, more or less.
Now, would you have to declare your choke setting before the battle commences, or could you adjust it on the fly?
Oh, that's when things get complicated.
Because a vast majority, 99% of shotguns, you don't really. I mean, you still have to have a special flange to adjust the choke. However, I did pick up a Remington R11 that has an adjustable choke. That was popular, I think, back in the 60s. So
I mean, battle mechs are fully automated and computer guided, so you should be able to adjust it on the fly.
Gotcha.
That'd be my rule for it. Doesn't mean it's any good. It would give more variety to the LBX. And if you just want to slug at people, well, you just switch your slug rounds. I mean, when a bit of rewrite I had done of the rules, especially construction rules, I had options for the LBX. It wasn't just that. You could choose the size of the pellets you would put in your shot in the gun as well.
That makes sense.
Change the clustering on the cluster shots.
Yeah, so you'd have an LB10, but it's 5 shots of 2 damage rather than 10 shots of 1 damage, as an example. But in my thing I had done, the autocannon damage were all upped by a decent amount as well. An AC2 dealt 4, an AC5 dealt 8, an AC10 dealt 14, and an AC20 dealt 24. So they weren't really an AC20, but
Yeah. Oh, indeed. Now, here's something that I homebrewed in my head, which is kind of scary, but bear with me here. A double-barreled LBX 20.
Taking after the harebrained schemes, Battletech, are we?
I mean, we're not talking like we're talking. This is for periphery assault mechs. Like a break open double-barreled LBX. You have to declare which round goes into what barrel, but you have to spend a turn reloading it. You can elect to fire both shots at once.
You would require 2 hand actuators then.
Yes.
Exactly.
But then LBX you won't be able to mount that because LBX 20s are way too big. They are massive guns.
But this is the periphery. They find a way.
And then again, you don't have the feeding mechanism in it because you manually feed it. So you remove that portion of it.
Exactly. All you need is just a canvas pouch to hold your shells on the side. Nice wooden stock, and of course a Squidbilly hat.
There was talk of -1 clustering at medium range and -2 clustering at long range long ago. I don't remember that, but I remember people talking about that.
That's
And
also
I
kind of
think
how
that would make
hags work.
cluster round. That would make LBX even worse. So no, anything that makes autocannons worse should not be brought into into the light. The first mech with that particular weapon would be the ELMR FUD.
Yes. Yes. Someone found a broken down executioner and they put an internal combustion engine on it. It has a hat with a scope hanging off the bill, and that's a targeting computer.
And it also sounds like it would operate kind of like how people want the Ultras to operate, where it's 2 shots instead of rolling on the cluster cable.
As usual, there's a million different things still going on. We might get more of those documents down the line, but next week we might not be talking about rules as much and might talk about lore once again. But those were 2 very constructive talks we had with all sorts of people. Less people this week, but we had people in the chat bringing things up. It was nice as well. I always enjoy seeing people in the chat. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you've got access to the IPE button, click IPE. Remember to remove the restricted mode from your YouTube so you can see videos that are restricted. YouTube's getting very hard to actually manage. But I'm always happy to have people to talk Battletech with, and those weekly streams here for Battletechs are fun. Yes, I'm streaming video games more than I did it for a while. I stopped. I'm starting to do it again just because it generates content, and generating content is not bad when you're on YouTube. If you're not interested in it, just don't watch it. But don't get. I only will stream once a day, so I'm not going to, load up your notifications with that. I think.
If you don't like it, don't watch it? You mean like an adult?
Yes. I know it's difficult nowadays to talk to people like they're adults, but yes, you can be an adult sometimes.
Oh, that is...
All right,
makes
well,
me feel all tingly.
I will see everybody later. I thank you very much for watching. Remember to be nice to your moms and your dads, and I will see everybody later.